Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on here? Welcome back here to another video. So today I'm going to be bringing you people my FIFA World Cup qualifier predictions. That's right, because the FIFA World Cup qualifier games are going to be here in a couple of days. So I thought to myself, why not? Let's do a predictions video. So let's get into it. So the first game that we have in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers game is Kazakhstan and Ukraine. And I'm going to say 3-0 here for Ukraine. I think it's going to be one of those games where either Konoplyanka or Zinchenko are going to have a big game for Ukraine. So yeah, that's going to be my prediction, 3-0 for Ukraine. Next up, we have the Denmark and the Scotland game, and I'm going to say here 2-1 for Denmark. I think Denmark here are going to have the edge over Scotland. Next up, we have the Faroe Islands and the Israel game, so I will say I think 2-0 for Israel. I think it's going to be one of those games where Zahavi's going to have a big game for Israel. And then we have the France and the Bosnia game, but I personally think it's going to be a 4-1 victory for France because, you know, I think it's going to be a big, massive advantage for France. But I think it's going to be a very impossible game for Bosnia, so I'm going to have to say 4-1 here for France. Next up, we have the Latvia and the Gibraltar game. I'm going to say 2-0 here for Latvia. And then we have the Luxembourg and the Azerbaijan game. So I'm going to say probably maybe 4-0 for Azerbaijan. Next up, we have the Malta and the Cyprus game. So I'm going to say 1-0 for Cyprus. And then we have the Moldova and the Austria game. So I'm going to say 4-0 here for Austria. And next up, we have a really good game between Norway and the Netherlands. But if I had to pick here, you know, because recently both Norway and the Netherlands have been in an incredible form. You know, Norway winning 3 of their last 5 games, and the Netherlands winning 4 of their last 5 games. But if I had to pick here, I'm going to say I think 2-1 here for the Netherlands, just because I think that the Netherlands have the more complete team over Norway here. But if there's one advantage that I think Norway have here over the Netherlands is that Norway have a really good lethal striker in Haaland, and I don't think that the Netherlands have that type of Haaland-like striker that can be a consistent goal-scoring threat. So I think that's one way that Norway can get a win here over the Netherlands is if Haaland just completely goes off in this game, but I'm going to stick with 2-1 here for the Netherlands. And then we have the Portugal and the Ireland game, but if I had to pick here, I would have to say probably 3-1 for Portugal, you know, just because Portugal, they have the better talent here, so I think Portugal are going to have the advantage here over Ireland. And then we have the Russia and the Croatia game, but if I had to pick here, I'm going to say probably maybe 1-0 here for Croatia. I think Croatia here will have the edge over Russia. And then we have the Slovenia and the Slovakia game, but I'm going to say 2-1 for Slovakia. And then we have the Turkey and the Montenegro game, but if I had to pick here, I'm going to say probably 1-0 for Turkey. So those are all of my predictions for the September 1 game. So now let's get into the September 2 games. So first we have the Georgia and the Kosovo game, but if I had to pick here, I'm going to say 2-0 here for Kosovo, just because Kosovo have been in pretty decent form lately in their last 5 games, you know, winning 3 out of their last 5 games. So I think Kosovo is going to have the advantage here over Georgia. And then we have the Andorra and the San Marino game. I'm going to say 1-0 for Andorra. Next up, we have the Czech Republic and the Belarus game, but I will say 3-0 here for the Czech Republic. And then we have the Estonia and the Belgian game, but let's be honest here, I think it's going to be like a 5-0 victory here for Belgium. Next up, we have the Hungary and the England game, but if I had to pick here, I think definitely it's going to be, I think, a 4-1 victory for England here, just because given England's recent form and their complete rise in the Euros, like England, man, I think they're going to have a field day in this game. Next up, we have the Iceland and the Romania game, but if I had to pick here, I'm going to say 2-1 for Iceland. And then we have Italy, the defending Euro champions, versus Bulgaria here, but hey, let's be honest here, I think it's going to be a pretty big win here for Italy, so I'm going to say 4-0 for Italy. Then we have the Germany and the Liechtenstein game, but this game is super predictable. I'm going to say 5-0 for Germany. And then we have the Lithuania and the Northern Ireland game, so if I had to pick here, I'm going to say 2-0 here for Northern Ireland. Next up, we have the North Macedonia and the Armenia game, but recently, man, I like Armenia's chances. I think Armenia can qualify for the World Cup here, so I'm going to pick 1-0 here for Armenia. Next up, we have the Poland and the Albania game, but if I had to pick here, I think that Poland can get the win here over Albania. I think it's going to be one of those games where Lewandowski's probably going to score a hat-trick like how he did for Bayern today, so we'll see if Lewandowski will be able to make that transition into the World Cup qualifier game in a couple of days here. So yeah, my final prediction, 3-1 here for Poland. Next up, we have the Sweden and the Spain game, a rematch of the Euros, so if I had to pick here, I'm going to say maybe 2-1 for Spain.